Three true hide-and-seek horror stories that will chill you to the bone. In the quiet outskirts of a small town lay an abandoned factory, its broken windows gaping like empty eyes into the dimming twilight. To a group of adventurous friends, this derelict structure beckoned with promises of excitement and the thrill of exploration. Among them was Emily, a spirited young girl with a penchant for daring escapades. As the sun dipped below the horizon, dark clouds began to gather, casting eerie shadows over the factory. Emily's heart raced with a mix of fear and exhilaration, her eyes gleaming with determination. The rusty, creaking door slowly opened, revealing the dark, mysterious interior of the factory. With a flickering flashlight in hand, Emily stepped inside, ready to uncover the secrets hidden within. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched eerily across the cracked pavement, the air grew cooler, and the atmosphere became charged with anticipation. The friends converged upon the factory grounds, their footsteps echoing in the stillness of the evening. The old factory, with its rusted machinery and broken windows, stood as a silent witness to their excitement. Excited whispers filled the air as they debated who would be it for their game of hide-and-seek. The factory, with its maze-like corridors and hidden corners, was the perfect setting for their adventure. Emily, always eager for a challenge, volunteered to be the first seeker. Her friends admired her bravery, knowing that navigating the darkened factory would not be easy. With a gleeful grin, Emily counted to 50 as her friends scattered into the labyrinthine interior of the factory. The sound of their laughter and hurried footsteps echoed through the empty halls, adding to the thrill of the game. Each friend found a unique hiding spot, some crouching behind old machinery, others slipping into shadowy alcoves. The game had begun, and the factory was alive with the spirit of their adventure. Determined to find the perfect hiding spot, she ventured deeper into the heart of the factory. The walls echoed with her footsteps, each step taking her further away from the world outside. She felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as she navigated the labyrinth of rusted machinery and forgotten corridors. In a forgotten corner, obscured by shadow and cobwebs, Emily discovered a narrow storage room. The room seemed untouched for years, a relic of a bygone era. Dust particles danced in the slivers of light that managed to penetrate the gloom, creating an almost magical atmosphere. The air within was musty and thick with the scent of decay, but to her it seemed the ideal refuge. The silence was profound, broken only by the occasional creak of the old building settling. It was as if time had stopped in this hidden sanctuary. Pushing against the heavy door, Emily's heart sank as it refused to yield. Panic surged through her veins like ice water as she realized she was trapped. Frantic now, she pounded on the door with desperate urgency, calling out for help until her throat grew raw. But her friends, absorbed in their search, remained oblivious to her plight. Desperation clawed at her mind as she scanned the room for another escape route. She grabbed a metal rod and tried to break a window, but it was no use. Sweat drenched her face, her eyes wide with fear. Exhausted and defeated, she sank to the floor, her hope dwindling with each passing second. Minutes stretched into agonizing hours before one of Emily's friends, growing increasingly concerned by her prolonged absence and the eerie silence that enveloped the place, stumbled upon the closed door to the storage room. The door looked old and worn, as if it hadn't been opened in years. Faint cries echoed from within, barely audible over the factory's groaning walls and the distant hum of machinery. The sound was haunting, sending chills down their spines as they realized Emily was trapped inside. With a rush of adrenaline, their hearts pounding in their chests, they rallied to her aid, calling out her name and encouraging her to stay strong. Forcing the stubborn door open with a collective effort, they could feel the weight of the old wood resisting their attempts. As they pulled Emily from the darkness, her face was ashen, eyes wide with terror. She clung to them, her body trembling as relief washed over her. The friends embraced her tightly, vowing never to let her out of their sight again. The ordeal had left them all shaken, but their bond had grown stronger through the harrowing experience. The following days passed in a blur of concern and reassurance from her friends and family. Yet despite their best efforts, Emily withdrew into herself, haunted by the memory of those solitary hours spent in the abandoned factory. Nightmares plagued her sleep, and she found solace only in the presence of daylight and open spaces. The weight of the experience lingered, casting a shadow over her once bright spirit. She tried to make sense of her feelings, pouring her thoughts into a journal. As the days turned into weeks, she sought peace in nature, hoping to heal. The journey to recovery was slow, but with each passing day, she found a little more strength to move forward. Emily herself never spoke of the incident, but those who knew her well could see the subtle changes. The cautious glances at closed doors, the shiver at the sound of creaking hinges. Years passed, and the abandoned factory crumbled further into disrepair, a silent testament to the passage of time and the memories it held. The walls seemed to whisper secrets, shadows danced in the corners, and faded graffiti told stories of forgotten days. Emily's reflection in a broken window, moonlight streaming through the shattered roof, dust particles floating in the air, all served as haunting reminders of a past that refused to be forgotten. For Emily and her friends, it became a cautionary tale, a reminder that even in the pursuit of fun and thrill, there existed shadows that could swallow the light, leaving only darkness behind. The factory, once a symbol of industry and progress, now stood as a monument to forgotten dreams and eerie silence. Each creak and groan of the old structure whispered stories of the past, tales of hard work and eventual abandonment. The vibrant graffiti, a stark contrast to the decaying walls, spoke of the fleeting nature of human presence. Shadows danced in the dim light, a haunting reminder of the unseen forces that lurk in forgotten places. Emily, reflecting on their adventure, realized the importance of respecting the unknown and the unseen. As they walked away, the factory's silhouette faded into the distance, leaving them with a lesson etched in their minds. The sun set, casting a golden hue over the landscape, symbolizing the end of their journey and the beginning of newfound wisdom. The empty factory floor, once bustling with life, now lay silent, a testament to the passage of time and the inevitability of change. With one last glance, they bid farewell to the shadows, carrying with them a story that would forever remind them of the delicate balance between light and darkness. Pause 3S. The journey through the abandoned factory had drawn to a close, but the impact of their adventure lingered in Emily's mind. Pause 2S. As the group sat together, the weight of their experience settled in. They had ventured into the unknown, faced their fears, and emerged with a deeper understanding of themselves and each other. Pause 2S. The factory, once a mere backdrop to their thrill-seeking, had become a powerful symbol of life's impermanence and the mysteries that lie in forgotten places. Pause 2S. Emily's thoughts wandered to the shadows they had encountered, now seen as guardians of forgotten stories rather than mere specters of fear. Pause the 2S. In the quiet moments of reflection, they realized that the adventure had taught them more than they ever imagined about courage, friendship, and the importance of respecting the unknown. Pause 2S. The lessons they learned would stay with them, shaping their future decisions and reminding them of the delicate balance between curiosity and caution. Pause 2S. As they shared their reflections, a sense of closure washed over them, marking the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Pause 2S. The factory, now a distant silhouette, had left an indelible mark on their hearts. Pause 2S. With a final glance, they turned away, carrying forward the wisdom gained from the shadows of the past. Pause 2S. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a serene glow over the landscape as they walked away, forever changed by the journey they had shared. The family had been eagerly anticipating their weekend retreat in the remote cabin, nestled deep within the dense forest. The journey itself was an adventure, winding through narrow, tree-lined roads that seemed to lead them further away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. It was a chance to disconnect from the relentless pace of city life, to leave behind the noise and stress, and to immerse themselves fully in the tranquility and peace that only nature could provide. They arrived on a serene Friday afternoon, greeted by the solitude of towering trees and the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. The air was crisp and fresh, filled with the earthy scent of pine and moss. The cabin, though rustic, offered all the comforts they needed. A cosy living room with a crackling fireplace that promised warmth and relaxation. The family felt an immediate sense of calm and contentment, knowing this weekend would be a perfect escape from their daily routines. "Let's play hide-and-seek," Sarah suggested eagerly, her eyes sparkling with mischievous delight. Their parents, glad to see their children embracing the natural surroundings, agreed with a smile. The rules were simple: no hiding inside the cabin and stay within the boundaries set by their parents. The children scattered, laughter echoing through the trees as they sought the perfect hiding spots. The forest, usually serene, now buzzed with the excitement of the game. Little did they know something was watching. Jacob, being the youngest and filled with boundless energy, dashed off almost immediately to find the perfect hiding spot. His laughter echoed through the trees, a sound that would soon be swallowed by the forest. Sarah counted slowly, her voice fading into the whispering wind as Jacob scampered deeper into the woods. She reached 10, but Jacob was already far beyond her sight. In his eagerness, Jacob ventured beyond the limits his parents had mentioned, drawn by the allure of an ancient oak tree standing sentinel amidst a carpet of ferns and moss. The forest seemed to close in around him, the trees growing denser and the light dimmer. Its hollow trunk seemed like the ideal hiding place, spacious enough for a small boy to crawl into and disappear from view. Jacob hesitated for a moment, then crawled inside, feeling the cool, damp air wrap around him. He waited, heart pounding, as the forest grew silent. Time slipped by unnoticed as Sarah finished counting and began searching for her brother. The game of hide-and-seek had taken a turn she hadn't expected. The forest, once a playground, now felt like an endless maze. Minutes turned into an hour. The ticking of the clock seemed to mock her growing anxiety. Sarah's calls for Jacob echoed through the trees, but there was no response. Each unanswered shout amplified her fear, making the forest seem even more foreboding. Concern etched lines of worry on her parents' faces as they joined the search, their shouts mingling with the growing darkness that enveloped the forest. Hours passed, marked by the flickering of flashlights cutting through the night's shadows. The beams of light seemed to dance with the darkness, creating an eerie atmosphere. Panic clawed at their throats as fear of the unknown gripped them tighter with each passing moment. The forest's silence was deafening, broken only by their frantic calls and the rustling of leaves. They combed through every thicket, checked behind every tree trunk, but Jacob remained elusive. The forest seemed to swallow their efforts, turning their search into a desperate struggle against time and nature. Just as they were on the brink of summoning outside help, a faint sound reached their ears, a whimper, barely audible over the rustling leaves. Following the sound, they stumbled upon Jacob, crouched near the base of the ancient oak tree, his small frame trembling in the dim glow of their flashlights. Relief washed over them, tinged with concern, as they noticed Jacob's tear-streaked face and trembling hands. They called out to him softly, their voices filled with a mix of worry and reassurance. Jacob looked up, his eyes wide with fear, but slowly he began to rise, taking hesitant steps towards his family. His explanation came in fragments, interrupted by sobs, his voice trembling with fear and confusion. He had hidden inside the hollow tree trunk, snug in the darkness, when he heard whispers, a soft, insistent voice calling his name. The voice was unlike anything he had ever heard before, almost ethereal, echoing through the forest. "It wouldn't stop," Jacob muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. The whispers grew louder, more persistent, as if they were trying to draw him out of his hiding place. I tried to move, but it felt like like something was holding me there. The air around him seemed to thicken, making it hard to breathe, and his limbs felt heavy, almost paralyzed. His parents exchanged glances, sharing a silent understanding of their son's vivid imagination. They had heard similar stories from him before, but this time there was a palpable fear in his eyes that made them uneasy. They comforted him, attributing his experience to the eerie ambience of the forest at night, a mixture of rustling leaves, the wind sighing through branches, and his own imagination playing tricks. They held him close, whispering soothing words, trying to dispel the lingering fear that clung to him like a shadow. Back in the safety of the cabin, warmth from the crackling fire chased away the chill of the night. Jacob clung to his parents, reassured by their embrace, yet visibly shaken. Despite their attempts to soothe him, Jacob remained adamant he would never play hide-and-seek again. The remainder of their weekend retreat passed in subdued tranquility. Sarah tried to engage Jacob in other activities, and their parents kept a watchful eye on their son's demeanour, silently pondering the strange incident. As they walked through the forest, Jacob held tightly to his mother's hand, the memory of the night still fresh in his mind. For Jacob, the forest held a lingering unease, an unspoken fear that clung to the edges of his memory long after they had packed their bags and returned home. Years later, Jacob would recall that night with a shiver, the memory of whispers and unseen shadows still haunting his dreams. The cabin in the woods became a distant memory, its once inviting embrace forever tinged with a sense of unease. A reminder of a game that led to an encounter with something beyond comprehension, hiding amidst the ancient trees. The unease lingered, a shadow that never fully dissipated, a constant reminder of the unknown lurking just beyond the veil of reality.